In this video, we have a data table, and we're going to be creating pivot charts as well as graphs, and pretty much showing you how we can automate that process if you have a common data file that's going to be updating. So in this example, I have some sample like sales data here, so some pretty basic stuff: salesman, product, region, date, quantity, cost, revenue, blah blah blah. Alright, so let's walk through, if you have this kind of data, what you can do with it. Alright, so the data itself, it can be pulling from anywhere. So this could be a SQL query connection, this could be a CSV, a text file, pretty much any really data file. So as you can see, if you go to the data tab here, there's multiple different data source options you can use. So access, the web, text, SQL Server. What we're going to do is go up here to insert, and we'll select pivot chart. So this essentially allows us to create custom pivot tables, and then from those pivot tables we can create visuals. And what we're going to do is we're going to take all those different visuals, put them on one page, so you can get a quick summary of everything. So as you can see, it has the pivot table as well as the graph. So we're going to be selecting our different fields over here. So for this first example, we'll pull in the salesman, and we can say like total revenue. So far we have the total revenue, and then we can also pull in, let's just say for example, the product, to break it out by product. So here's obviously one graph. Come back here again, and we can do the same thing. So you're able to create multiple different visuals. So once again, insert, pivot chart. For this one, maybe we can do the product. We can do the total cost, total revenue, gross profit. And then for this one, let's just say we want to change up the visual type. We can go to the design tab up here, change chart type, and let's just say for example we want to do a combo where the gross profit shows on like the right side. And then within all these different visuals, what you can do is you can format the values over here within this pivot table. So if you come over to the pivot table and go into each of these different values, you can change the column names. So for example, sum of total cost. You might not want sum of total cost, you might just want total cost. So you can go to the value field settings here, and typically what I will do is just remove the sum of, or whatever the aggregate is you're using. And then just, you're not able to use the exact same name, so I just typically will add a space at the end. And then you can also go into your number formatting and select how you want it to be displayed. So maybe like removing the decimals and leaving a $sign. And we'll do that over here. So that's the total revenue. Gross profit, do the same thing. And total cost, the last one. So as you can see now, this is displaying the $signs over here. It's a little bit nicer formatted. And let's do one more real quick. So we'll go to, once again, insert, pivot chart, hit OK. From here, maybe we'll want to display the sales by date. So we'll pull in the date, pull in our sales. And lastly, just make these edits to the formatting again. Alright, so this is sales by date. Alright, so now as you can see, we have these different visuals. So you could leave them how they are, or if you'd like, we'll rename this as the detailed data table. we can create a new sheet, and we could say like dashboard, for example. Obviously Excel is probably not the best for like a dashboard sort of thing, but just for when you're just doing ad hoc reports or quick reports that you're whipping together, everybody still uses Excel, so kind of have to know it. And it's just a great tool because you can easily mock stuff up. So let's just show you a quick here. What we could do is we could change the color of the background, and then we can come in here and grab all these different visuals. So I'm just hitting Control X to cut and Control V to paste. So obviously this isn't super clean or anything like that, but this is just kind of showing you a technique that you could use. So once we have this, let's just say, for example, this detailed data, let's just say, you come in here next month and you have some additional data you need to either add to the table or you need to change the entire data source. You could create this as like a template where you just have a table here, and then you could just remove your rows and then paste in the new rows. Typically you're going to probably be more so using like a SQL connection or connecting it to like a data file somewhere else. So just keep in mind that obviously right now for this example I'm just have like a static data table here, but let's just say, for example, if you did have a query connection or something like that set up, you'd want the data to be refreshed. So if that were the case, what we can do is we can use this developer tab to automate stuff within Excel. So if you don't have the developer tab enabled, this will give us access to macros, which is essentially coding within Excel. So to get access to that, you could go to File, Options, you got a Customize ribbon, and then you would just check off this developer tab right here. You just check that off, hit OK. That should give you access to this developer tab. So once we have the developer tab, what we can then do is we can record actions. So for this example, let's just say we wanted to refresh our data source. So once again, this is just a static data file. But if this was pulling from somewhere else, you could create a refresh macro. So to do that, you could simply select record macro. This will record any action you take. So if we hit OK here, and let's just say, for example, we hit this cell, we typed in this value, hit this other cell, it's recording all of this. So for this example, I just want to go to the data tab and hit refresh all, and then simply go back to developer and stop recording. Once we do that, it's going to create a macro for us. So now if we click macros, you'll see we have macro run 1 right here. So we can either hit this button where it says step into or edit, or we can also come up here to Visual Basic, and that will open up this. So once you're in here, it's going to display all your sheets and the different the modules. So as you can see, when I was clicking around, it created all this stuff up here where it's saying select this range, enter this value. So that was kind of more an example showing you not to click around too much because it's recording every action. So all we actually really needed was this last step, active workbook.refresh all. So once you have that, you could then insert button, come over here, and then you select which macro you want to run when that button is selected. So we go edit text, and we'll say refresh data. And then what we can also do is, if we want all the pivots to also refresh, we can simply do the same thing again. So we'll go to record a macro, and we'll create a name for this one, refresh pivot. You're not going to want to use spacing in here. It's not going to allow that. So just use either like an underscore or just like capital letters or something. Alright, so all I'm going to be doing now is just right-clicking on each individual graph and select refresh data, refresh data, refresh data. And then stop recording. Now if I go to the Visual Basic, as you can see here, we have this refresh pivot. And this is essentially just activating each one of those templates and just refreshing. So now what I could do is I could either insert a new button or copy this if I want the same sizing. And once again, edit text, refresh charts, right click on this, assign macro, and change this to the point to the refresh pivot. And then now let's just add a value here. Alright, so as you can see, these values are obviously a lot larger than the ones above. So now if we go back here, you can do your refresh data, refresh pivots, and then as you can see, this number jumps exponentially from that value. So that's just a quick example of how you can kind of set up a little dashboard if you need to do some analysis on some data. Hope that helps. Thanks for watching.